Hello, my fellow Americans. I know it's been quite some time since I made a video, and I'm sure that those of you who think that this is just some joke campaign probably were like, oh, good, the joke's finally done. Those of you who know, or at least believe the campaign to be real, probably feared that I gave up, or maybe celebrated, depending on who you are. But that's not at all true. 2022 has just been a very busy year for me. I haven't gotten a chance to sit down and record a video. Mostly it's the editing process that holds me up. And when I say editing, I don't mean like splicing in parts of the video or changing things or editing things out. When I don't have a camera person, I have to trim off the beginning and the end of the video. And when I do that, even just resaving the new video can take hours on my laptop. Then the process of uploading the video on top of that takes hours. It's kind of the thing I like to do in one foul swoop, record, edit, and upload, and just really haven't had the kind of time where that seems feasible. So I hope to get back to making videos now every month, maybe even step it up and put more out, but no promises on that end, just hopes as we progress closer to 2024. Now that that's all out of the way, I apologize for that. I just felt like I owed everybody an explanation. I hope you all got out and voted today. I voted. I don't know how well that will show. Maybe I will zoom in editing. I don't even know if I have that capability, honestly. But I voted today. I hope each of you did. I'm not going to give you it's our civil duty speech, but realistically, for a good many Americans, that's your voice. That's how you say, this is what I want. This is what I look for. And I know a lot of people think like if you vote and the candidates you voted for, didn't win, that was just a waste. And it can feel that way, but at least you tried. And that's the whole, oh, you tried, and that's good. But seriously, if everybody who was downtrodden and believed, oh, my vote doesn't even count, if everybody that felt that way didn't vote, a lot of elections could go different ways. You never know, that vote could be the swinging vote. And as far as I know, there's, in the history of major elections, never been one that was determined by a single vote. But, one vote, those votes add up. One vote turns into 10, turns into 100, turns into 1,000. And if you have 1,000, 10,000 people saying, why even bother? That can be the difference in an election. That can be what determines if candidate A wins or candidate B wins. But again, I'm not here for this. I'm not here to lecture. I'm not here to, tell you how you should do it. But if we're going to be honest, if you're going to complain over the next, years, and you didn't vote, you kind of brought it on yourself to a certain degree. Yeah, the candidate you would have voted for might have lost anyways, but how do you know there's not 10,000 other people that felt the same way as you and also didn't vote that could have changed that election? But on to actual things, why I'm here for this video. Since it is election day again, it has been 2 years since I announced my candidacy. It is 2 years until that election takes place. We're right in the dead center. I want to cover some things. I want to be blunt about stuff. Maybe not necessarily to the degree of swearing that you get out of me sometimes, but I want to be straightforward about certain issues. I want to get them out there. Some of the big issues, some of the hot button issues, some of the things, and I want to talk about them to at least a little degree. And if they don't already have a video about them, I hope to put out a video. I will put out a video, but I want to touch on them. So one of the biggest issues that I see, and this is an issue like the actual issue, but so much issues of voting. The voting itself is single issue voters. Now, you are absolutely entitled to vote on a single issue. If that is the only thing that for some reason matters to you, You have all the rights in the world to vote on that. My problem with it is when you do that, you ignore every other issue. So, with that being stated, we're going to go right off the bat with some of the real single issue voter stuff. The stuff that will make you either hate or love me just based on my opinion. Now, I am a gray area kind of guy. I don't think things are just yes, no, right, wrong scenarios. Like, there is more to take into account than just that line. Things are blurry in the world. That would be these issues for me for the most part. And it's not that I'm trying to appease everybody, because quite frankly, I don't care if somebody is happy with my beliefs. Like, as a leader, I will care to the point of I don't want the American people distraught. I don't want them downtrodden. I don't want them defeated, thinking their leader doesn't care about them. That's not what I mean. I mean, when I say I don't care, it's your opinion of my opinion doesn't matter. I'm not having an opinion to try and make somebody happy. I'm having that opinion because that's how I believe things are. That's how I believe the world should be. So on to the first issue, abortion. Now, abortion is definitely one of the top issues that comes up as a, black and white scenario where people are like, you're either pro-life or pro-abortion. And I think those two stated ways of saying it in and of themselves are a little disgusting to group people like that. You can be pro-life and still pro-choice. You can be a person who supports other people's allowance to make that choice without supporting doing that choice yourself, which is where I fall. Abortion, I have a child, and I love my daughters, and seeing them, I can't imagine a life without them. I could. Imagination, you can imagine anything, but turn a phrase, I can't imagine my life without them. I love them. They're everything to me. My oldest daughter has got me through some really dark times in my life. Just, knowing that I had her and somebody, she needed me and I had to be there and I had to be strong for her. So on that note, the thought, I don't think I could personally do it. But with that being said, my girlfriend at the time, right now, she has some health issues that if she were to get pregnant, it could jeopardize her life. And if it came down to her life or the potential child, one, it's not my decision to make. It's her body. But I am in no way, shape, or form going to be like, no, you're having my baby. I don't care if it risks your life. That's fucked up. I wouldn't do that, and I wouldn't expect that of anybody. Never. And I know a lot of people pinpoint it down to you're murdering that baby. Well, I will not murder that mother. I will not risk the mother's health if it were somehow my choice. I wouldn't do that. So, as far as morals go, that's something I'd have to live with if the circumstance arose. And I would live with that on my conscience every day. But, morally, yeah, I'm no. But under circumstances, I absolutely can go the other way. And I believe that every woman should have the right to choose in that circumstance. And not just the sense of their life is in danger, not just in the senses of the child will have a birth defect, or the child will be born and its 10 minutes of life will be sheer suffering that nothing should endure. I believe that that choice, no matter what the circumstances are, shouldn't be left up to me, shouldn't be left up to the government. That should be between a woman and her doctor. And final say on that should be all her. Now, is that an unfair circumstance? Somewhat. To an unborn child? Yeah, they never get a chance at life. It's not their choice. So you're gonna potentially ruin the mother's life to give the child a chance at life. How, what if that child is forced to be born and then that mother doesn't love it and treats it like trash? What kind of a life does it have then? Is it unfair to the father? To a degree. Like, he doesn't get a say in it if that's the circumstance, and then he loses out on that child. But again, not his body. He doesn't have to carry that child for 9 months. He doesn't have to give birth to that child. So, as unfair of a circumstance as that feels to an unborn child and the father, it shouldn't be their call. And I will stand by that 100 times out of 100. Would the decision destroy me? As I said, it absolutely would to a certain degree. But that's not my decision. I'd live with the consequences of it even if it's not my decision. But it's not up to me, and it shouldn't be up to me. It shouldn't be up to any man, ever. It shouldn't be up to the doctor. It shouldn't be up to some random representative or senator or president or governor. It's not their body. It's not their call to be made. How would any given male like it if suddenly we forced you to get the snip until you determine that, okay, you're good to be a parent? Like, no man wants it forced on their body, the same way no woman wants choices forced on them. So, despite morally disagreeing with it, I, on a political standpoint, 100% am for it. And I would fight tooth and nail to see Roe v. Wade codified and to see abortions be federally protected. Now, moving on to another one of the hot button issues that I also take a little bit of a gray area in. Gun control, gun rights. This is another one that people vote right down the line on. That you're either against the guns or you're for killing the children in schools. And it's not that black and white. Not every person who owns a gun is violent. As a matter of fact, most of them aren't. Not every person who owns a gun has poor safe practices that somebody who's not supposed to have it can get into it and either hurt themselves or hurt somebody else. That is also usually the opposite. Unfortunately, there are people who aren't trained with their weapons or don't have proper, safety in place. Leave their guns out for a child to get a hold of and hurt themselves. Leave out for somebody else to take and hurt another person or multiple people. There are people that seek weapons out with the intent of using them. So on this issue, me, personally, I don't like guns. I really don't like guns. I have no love for them whatsoever. They're distasteful, and I'm a fan. We'll go with this. I'm a fan of melee combat, old time, where you had to have skill and best your opponent that way. And yeah, to a certain degree, shooting requires skill. But we've taken the skill out of combat. We have weapons you can put down round after round after round in minutes flat. You don't really have to aim beyond pointing in a general direction. Guns in the modern era don't take skill. And that's, I guess, why I don't like them. I can't respect the weapon in that regard. Now, I don't like them, as I said, but I'm not opposed to those who have them. I don't like guns, but there's still guns in my household, own guns. I've taken proper safety courses to know how to clean, handle, and safely put them away where they can't be got by a child or got by a stranger or even a family member who wants to get it for some ill intent. I don't like them, but we own them. I don't like them, but I think other people should be allowed to own them. And here's where it really gets the button pushing on some people. Despite that I don't like them, as I said, I'm all for other people owning them, which really some people are like, oh, well, you say you don't like it, but how much can you not like them if you're okay with others? Just because I don't like something doesn't mean it's my right or my personal vendetta to make sure others can't have something I don't like. There's lots of things I don't like. I'm not going to say to somebody else, oh, I don't like that. You shouldn't like that either. That's the exact opposite of what this country was founded on. Now, going to the other side of things, despite my belief that if you want a gun, you should be able to own a gun, I think we need to do some major re-evaluating and some changes in how that works. So, there are waiting periods for guns in most places. Last I checked, all places, but that's probably changing in certain red states, if I had to guess. Waiting periods are good. Lots of the people who are, law-abiding citizens who want their gun are going to be like, I can't believe I have to wait 3 days to get my gun. Are you purchasing your gun with the intent to go hunting tomorrow? More than likely, or go to the shooting range tomorrow, or whatever it may be, more than likely you have plans that are made out if you plan on doing something responsible with that gun. And those who are like, well, I want it for protection. Okay, I understand. The world is a dark, scary, dangerous place. But just because you want it for protection doesn't mean it should put the rush on and risk that weapon getting into the wrong hands. You might be the law-abiding citizen who wants to get that weapon for self-defense and angered by a waiting period, but there could be somebody who is angry at their spouse and found out their wife or husband is cheating on them and in a lustful rage wants to kill them and goes to purchase a firearm. Now, in those 3 days, they might still be really fired up and might still really want to do that. But maybe they'll calm down. Now, on the other side of things, if you go into an arms distributor and you have certain things, they will not sell a gun to somebody who comes in under certain circumstances. You're not going to walk in there all high up on drugs and convince them to sell you a gun. Waiting period or not, they're not going to do that. You're also not going to walk in there the entire way from the door to the register cursing about your cheating bastard of a husband and get them to sell you a weapon. So some of these restrictions that upset law-abiding citizens, you need to understand those laws aren't there to punish you. They are there to keep guns out of the wrong hands at the wrong times. And now, when I say out of the wrong hands, the easiest thing to retort is, if somebody wants to commit a crime, they're going to commit a crime. If they're willing to commit murder, they're willing to steal. So they would be willing to steal a gun to commit that murder. Or willing, they would use a different means of the murder. And it's a hard defense to sell on the we're preventing violence when there are other means of violence. But this isn't the be-all, end-all. This isn't the, if we put regulations in place, if we do this, it'll stop all violence everywhere. That's not what it's about. It's about curbing violence. It's about putting limitations where we are capable to. Like I said, if somebody wants a weapon, they're going to get a weapon. If they want that firearm, they will find a way to get that firearm. If they want to kill somebody and can't get a firearm, they'll find a different way. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't try when we can. That doesn't mean we should just roll over and be like, well, they're going to get a gun anyways, might as well just sell it to them. We need to put steps in place to curb those things, whether it be waiting periods, background checks. Those that aren't already in place need put in place. Mental health evaluations if need be. Which leads me into my next thing. Health. Healthcare is a big one, especially when you bring up universal healthcare. Everybody is frightened by that term. Oh, we can't do it in this country. They do it in other countries, lots of other countries, and you get the argument, but those countries don't have as many people as we do. If we restructured the way we use our tax money and where the government puts finances, we can afford a lot of things that this country and its government have put us on the impression we can't do that. Healthcare, schooling, secondary education at that. These things, and I'm putting the two of them in together now because they kind of go hand in hand. You get the same arguments against both of them. We can't afford that. There's too many people. It'll never work. Oh, I already had to pay such and such amount when I had this health thing go on. Or I had to pay this much when I did my schooling or my children or whatever the case may be. These things could be alleviated if we balanced where we put our finances in this country. Reevaluate who we're handing money to and why. The easiest place to go? Tax loopholes. For the rich and corporations. The amount of money we spend letting people not pay their taxes at the top, the amount of money that gets burned giving them breaks. Trickle-down economics. Has anybody ever seen that work? The only thing that ever trickles down is the shit. The money never trickles down. Here's an idea. Instead of giving billions and billions of dollars to corporations, billions of dollars to rich people who hide that money in offshore accounts, spend it in other countries. Why don't we start giving that money to the people at the bottom? I know if you hand me $1 million, I'm going to start buying some things that I was like, I can't afford that. That doesn't make sense to spend it. I don't have the money for that. How about we go with trickle-up economics, which defies gravity, but just work with me here for a sec. How about we put the money at the bottom and see how it flows up? Because I can, without a doubt, guarantee more people in lower financial situations, bottom, lower, middle class, those people are more likely to spend that money in America on American goods than rich people. They're more likely to spend it than corporations, who, if you look at some of the money given to them, they give them the money to their CEOs. Big old bonuses. The same people who then don't spend that money. If we take the money and we redistribute it, and not just like, oh, we should give free money to the poor, but if we change where we put that stuff and we put it towards a future for our people and for this country, we will be capable of great things. If you have healthy, educated people, they are more useful and more resourceful and more productive than whatever we've been doing to our people for years now. That's not just me saying how I feel. That's basic. That is things that have been proven the world over in other countries. Give more vacation time. Give better pay. Give maternity and paternity leave. Have better health benefits. Have better education. Look at polling in other countries. What dissatisfies you? What makes you happy? Are you happy? You know, how do you feel about your government? How do you feel about where you live? What do you think of other countries? Look at things coming out of other countries that are on the same economic scale as us, and look at how different it is based on how they distribute the money. Now this leads me into another issue, Military funding. We spend so much money on the military. And don't get me wrong, we need a defense, but it is not a defense budget anymore. It is a military budget. We play world police, we go everywhere. We haven't won a war since World War II, but we spend more we spend more money on our military than the next 20 countries combined. Where is it going? Why are we spending that much? Look at all the projects we've dumped money into that they've spent millions and billions on and then ditched the project. And yeah, research and development is an important thing, but why are we spending this absurd amount of money when clearly we are leagues ahead if that money is actually being spent on military stuff? If we're spending that much money, we should be far enough ahead that we should be able to cut the military budget nearly entirely and only get it down to a maintenance budget on that stuff and pay our soldiers and take care of them, which will lead into the next subject, by the way. We should be able to cut our budget back to where we're not spending on necessarily new stuff. Yeah, you'll have to update at some point, but we should be able to cut that so mad because we've been spending so much for so long. Unless we're not spending it where we're telling people we are. And that's not conspiracy theory by any means, and it's not intended to come across that way. It's just saying we should have the capabilities. We should be so far advanced and have spent so much money. We should have such a stockpile of stuff that we shouldn't have to be spending like we are anymore. Now, as I said, moving into the next situation, taking care of our veterans. This is one that bothers me so much. If we're going to have people that go fight for this country, whether it's a war I agree with or not, if somebody is willing to do that, we should take care of them when they're done. We shouldn't be reliant on programs like Tunnels to Tower, which if you haven't heard of it, look into it. It does good work for veterans. But we shouldn't need that. Those people should be taken care of. Veterans shouldn't have to come home and worry what they're going to do when they're no longer in the military. They shouldn't have to come home and worry how they're going to continue to take care of their family. The ones that are injured shouldn't have to come home and be concerned with, what do I do now? I am not physically or mentally capable of taking care of my family in the way I previously could. They shouldn't have to worry about that. We should take care of them. This shouldn't be something that we debate. This shouldn't be the thing that comes up as an argument of wasteful spending. This needs to be a thing. If you are going to send people to fight for this country, to be broken for this country, you need to have the decency to take care of them afterwards. You can't just do it to people where you send them and then throw them away like discarded toys. We need to take care of our veterans, physically, mentally. Perfect example. We give politicians, and yes, there are far less politicians than service people, but we give politicians huge sums of money to never work again once they retire. And the higher up you go, the bigger those amounts get. We give money to them not to work. And yeah, they serve their country and all, but not the way our military has. If we can give a politician money to sit on their fat, lazy ass and never do anything for the rest of their life, we can surely find a way to give it to our service people. Or at least have programs in place that help them reacclimate to being back in their normal home environment. We should have things that are set up if they have PTSD to help them work through that trauma, to get past it, to, they sometimes don't feel like they can talk to their family or their loved ones or their friends, the people that weren't there and didn't experience that shit with them. We should have something in place that gives them the outlet, somebody that they can talk to, somebody that understands, somebody that's willing to be like, hey, I know some dark things went on over there, but You did what you had to do, or at least you made it back, or I can't do it. I'm not a professional in that regard, but I know with all my heart we should have something in place to do that, to be there to help them. And not just the mental side of things, also the physical side of things. People come back with ruined bodies, missing limbs, unable to do physically the things that they had previously done. We should be helping those people. We should be accommodating those veterans. They shouldn't come back to this country asking how they're going to get by. They shouldn't come back worried that the country they love, that the country they fought for, has forgotten them. They should come back and they should be remembered. And not just on Veterans Day, which is coming up, by the way. Not just on Memorial Day. They should be remembered year-round. And we should be showing our service people that their service, that what they did for this country wasn't in vain. That we respect them, that we want to show them the appreciation they deserve. And that is a bottom line scenario for me. I have gray areas in other stuff. This one is not a gray area scenario. We should be, without a doubt, taking care of our veterans. And what we're doing now is a shame, and it's a disgrace, and it sickens me. I am disgusted with what goes on with this country with regards to our veterans. And we, without a doubt, whether I win in 2024 or not, this one shouldn't wait that long to be addressed. This should have been addressed years ago. But whether I win or not in 2024, this should be an issue that gets pushed. This should be an issue that gets pushed every day. This should be the kind of thing that politicians hear so much they're sick of until the point they actually do something about it. And that's the bottom line on that. So, I've talked about some of the bigger issues. I want to move into another one that is vastly huge with everybody, and I'm going to kind of bundle ball it up. The economy, inflation, getting rid of our oil and gas, all that stuff, we're going to kind of ball it up just for a moment. Now, everybody is super concerned about the economy and inflation. And on that one, it's a big thing to address. It's a big subject, and it draws a lot of heat too. If we go back to previously, I said about the rich, corporations, taxing them and stuff. Other issues that are with regards to them, the hyperinflation. When we see inflation and it's up a certain percentage, and a company raises their price hundreds of percentages more, they're not accommodating for inflation, they're price gouging. That needs addressed, especially when it comes to oil and gas. How often have we seen the price go down? And the price of anything for that matter. Prices keep going up, they fluctuate a little, drop down enough that everybody's like, yay, goody, and then they go up more and more and more. And they never return. And that's the nature of the way life goes. It's going to keep getting more costly. As things go, that's where everything heads. That's sort of the natural state in a sense. But corporations and the wealthy are not helping that when they take something that would be going up at this rate and suddenly jump it like that. These are more things we need to address. These are things that get swept under the rug and ignored. You'll hear, oh, Democrats are ruining the economy, or no, Republicans are ruining the economy. But you won't hear how either one actually wants to address it and change it. They'll hit you with pretty words that make it sound fun, but none of them will flat out say, we need to address the root causes of this. We need to look at why the prices are going up. And they'll say, well, supply and demand determines that the price should go up. Well, then why is it when there's more supply than there is demand, the price on certain things doesn't drop back down? Why is it when oil was at almost record low prices, we were still paying almost record high prices? Why? How? Like, I just like somebody to please explain to me where the thought process is that that's okay. I'd like somebody to just sit me down and tell me like I'm an elementary school student why that's okay. Not why it happens. Greed. Greed is why it happens. Period. But how is it okay? How can we sit by and be like, oh no, those rich oil barons, they earned every cent they put towards it. No. They did not. They have earned their money on the sweat of the working class. They have earned their money by literally driving people to the poorhouse. And it's not just them. They're just happen to be a major problem in it, seeing as how when gas prices go up, then shipping everything goes up in price, so everything goes up in price. But we need to address that. Without a doubt, if you want to see the economy get better, you need to stop putting so much money in the top and start putting money back in the bottom. When you have 10 shares of something and you give 9 shares to the top and 1 share to the bottom and tell 100 people to fight over that 1 share while a single person gets those 9 other shares, that's a problem. And that's very minimalistic math on the issue. When it really boils down to it, it's billions and billions of dollars this happens with. There's people that have more money than they'll ever know what to do with. They'll never be able to possibly spend that, short of literally burning the money. And at the same time, you have children that go to bed hungry or homeless. You have families that don't know what they're going to do because they're going to be late on their rent and they might get kicked out. You have people that are being driven to the bankruptcy because they can't afford to repay their student loans, or they can't afford to pay the hospital back their medical bills, or they just simply can't afford basic necessities like rent and food. You have people, and this is worldwide, but we're just talking about this country for now. You have people who can't live life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You have people that have no capability to pursue happiness because every red cent they earn goes to surviving. But yet you have people that just hoard money like a dragon. They're like a dragon hoarding gold. And I need this because, oh, my wealth. You know what I miss? I miss when millionaires, not billionaires, millionaires, when that was as high as it went, and people were like, wow, million, oh my. I miss when millionaires used to, their dick measuring contest was who could build the most public libraries, or who could fund the most hospitals, or who could get their name on the new football stadium. When that was the way they measured their aptitude was, oh yeah, another church built in my name. And now we have assholes sending shit into space. Like a fucking car, for Christ's sake. And we all know the dickhead I'm talking about. We have assholes with so much money that they can launch a fucking car to space, but meanwhile, they're employees at their companies that they're CEOs of and that they run and have investments in. Their employees are struggling to get by. How do we live in an era where there is such a sickening difference? And by no means do I think we should take all of the billionaires' money, but there shouldn't be billionaires. That should never be a thing. Not when we have people who can never even imagine $1 billion. We have people that will work their entire life, and if they saved every cent from the time they were born to the time they died, won't break $1 million. And we have people with billions, tax the rich. Tax corporations. Stop giving them breaks. Stop giving them buyouts. Stop saving them. If you want to claim capitalism is the best system in existence, you need to prove it by actually having capitalism. If a company is going down the drain, they brought themselves to that point. Let them sink. What about their employees? Another company will rise in its place. It has historically happened. Every time a big ship sinks, another one comes to fill the slot. Will we go through some turbulent times if we start letting that happen to some companies? Yes. Do I think it needs to happen? Also yes. Because the system we currently have in place, where we bail out every company that's like, oh no, I'm failing, and then they give the money to the very people who drove the company into the ground, it's not working. That money never sees the people who need it. The money that we let slide by to corporations and the wealthy never sees the hands of the people who actually need it. It never makes its way to the people who will spend it. It gets hoarded, and that is another thing driving rising costs. When money doesn't get spent, the market freaks out. It has to accommodate it somehow. Nobody's spending money, so the ones that are spending, we have to charge them more to make up for the money not getting spent. Do you see how this all accumulates to the same issue? So if you want to know how I would address the economy, how I would address inflation, I would start at the root of the problem. I wouldn't dance around all willy-nilly, flashing pretty phrases and telling everybody it's all going to be all right. I would get to the root of the problem, and I would address it, and we would start taking care of things. Now, I've rambled on for quite a bit today, and I have covered what I feel is a good portion of issues. And I was going to end it here, and then I realized one more I want to touch on. Illegal immigration. And I think I have a video about this, and I'm pretty sure I have videos about several things that I've gone over, actually. But illegal immigration is an issue we need to address also in a different way. Now, a lot of people are like, the southern border, we need to build a wall. Wall's not going to help. Do you know why a wall's not going to help? Because most of the people who are illegally in the United States did not come across the southern border. Yeah, it's a nice thing that you can take pictures of and show video of and be like, look, see where they're all coming from? But that's not how it is. Statistically, a majority of illegal aliens in the United States came to this country via legal means. They came on visas. They never left. They entered the country legally. They never left when they were supposed to. Yes, the southern border has its issues. People do jump the border there. But that's not where the majority of the issue is. And since that's not where the majority of the issue is, trying to address that is like putting a Band-Aid on a wound that's your entire chest. Yeah, one Band-Aid's going to help a little, but you're still going to be bleeding and your guts are going to be spilling out everywhere. That's a really dirty way of addressing it, but that's the fact of the matter. You can't put a Band-Aid on something that takes more. If we want to get to the root and do away with that, we need to address our immigration policies. We need to address how we handle that. We need to make sure we're not just giving programs and money to illegal aliens. We're not supporting them in the ways that incentivize them to come here. And that's not saying we shouldn't help people who are in need. But that's saying if that is an incentive to come, like, hey, come here, you'll get Social Security. We need to take that incentive away. We need to address why. Why did you come to America? Oh, you want to make a better life for yourself and your family? All right, let's take you through the legal means to get you citizenship. Let's help you get a job. Let's help you become a contributing member of this country. Not let's hand you something just because. Now, on the other side of that, I don't want to come across as cold. Let's get rid of any safety net those people have. Like I said, we need to reevaluate our immigration. We need to see what we require of people. And yeah, we want, the best we can get in this country. I understand that. We want doctors and lawyers and, scientists but the fact of the matter is, a lot of people who come to this country, they aren't those people. Those aren't the people who are trying to make a better life for themselves. Those types of people can probably find a decent life in their own country, or at least one of the surrounding countries, or a country between there and here. These are the people that, they are the downtrodden. They are, the people that, they need something. They need to get away from whatever their environment was, and they need a better life, and they want that for themselves and their families. And right now, as far as I am aware, last time I checked, the test for citizenship has questions on it that I'm fairly certain most citizens born American citizens would not be able to answer. I can say without a doubt, the last time I saw a copy of that test, I don't know, maybe 5 people that could have passed that test without a lot of studying. Why are we requiring them to answer questions about historical things which aren't important to who they are and who they would be as a citizen? Yeah, I understand. Pride in your country. Know the history. Know your roots. But none of that is important to knowing if somebody is willing to be a contributing member of society. That doesn't tell us that this person is willing to give it their all to make their life, their family's life, and this country a better place. So I think we need to address what we're requiring of people. We need to look at it, and instead of hitting them with a test that is nigh impossible, and that's a gross exaggeration, anybody could study enough to get through that, but memorizing facts about this country's history does nothing. That proves nothing. Oh, it shows their dedication to becoming an American citizen. Well, why don't we let them get a job and try and contribute and let that show their dedication to being a U.S. citizen? Why are we turning people away just because I don't like how they came to this country? They were escaping their war-torn nation and they came here, and that upsets me. Now, I do not think coming here illegally should be acceptable. There should absolutely be some semblance of a punishment on that. And if you do it more times, bigger punishments. But I think that needs to be the thing we clearly address. Hey, you came here illegally. You can't do that. There are punishments for that. Don't do it again, or else the punishment will get harsher. If you want to be here, this is the process to do it legally. Help them towards that process. Aim them towards that process. We need to restructure that. We need to restructure so many things, actually. There are so many programs in this country that we need to take looks at. Longer than a passing glance where we're like, yes or no, good, bad, A or B. We need these issues looked at. We need these issues addressed. Not just immigration, not just the economy, not just secondary education, healthcare, not just anything I've talked about. We have so many issues in this country that they need evaluated, they need addressed, they need changed, they need updated for the modern era. And right now, the people making decisions in this country, they are, for the most part, old. And I'm not saying old people can't make good decisions, but, a lot of the ones making the decisions that are older are living by their outdated ways. Well, this is the way it always was. This is the way it should always be. No, it's the year 2022. We need to update. Things change. Times change. Civilizations change. And if we don't change to match that, If we don't keep up with the progress, we fall behind. That is how civilizations fall. That is how empires crumble. You either change with the times or the times leave you behind. And we, as a nation, need to change with the times or we will fall to the wayside. All of the people who think America is the greatest nation in the world, if we want to claim we're the greatest nation in the world, we need to start proving it again. We can't just wave our dicks around and be like, you know what I did in World War I and II? I saved all your asses. Because that doesn't cut it. Those were so long ago. Those don't count for shit right now. Yeah, things would probably be a lot different if those wars went different ways, but that doesn't mean shit right now. It doesn't mean anything what you or what this nation has done in the past if everything we're doing now countermands that. If everything we do today makes all of what was done in the past vain, it doesn't matter. And we can't live forever off the glory of our forefathers. We need to create our own glory. We need to create a better America. We need to create a brighter future, and that needs to start now. Now, my election is 2 years out. The midterms happen today. By the time this video is uploaded, it'll be done. You won't be able to vote in the midterms anymore. And so a lot of things will be locked in for a time period. But come 2024, which like I said, that's 2 years out. Come 2024, if you get the chance, if you have the opportunity, you get out there and you vote and you see this country made great again. Not, oh, red hats make America great again. No, actually great. Not the great that is, oh, look at that, it's so beautiful, oh, nostalgia. Actual great. You make this country a top producer in the world. You make it an actual superpower, not just because we can wave nukes around and pretend we're fancy. You make it a country that the rest of the world can look at, and the rest of the world can be like, that is a leader. Right now, we are looked at as bullies. We need to be leaders. And if you want that, if that's the future you want, if you want a country you can honestly be proud of, if you want a nation that you can go anywhere in the world and say proudly and without fear, I'm an American. If you want that nation, you need to start thinking about change. You need to keep up with the times. We need to keep up with the times. And with all that said, and everything I said today, you might not like me. You might think some of my political beliefs, some of my stances are just not for you. They might be disgusting. But you know what? One thing you will never see out of me is a lie about how I believe. You will never get me telling you something just because I want your vote. You will absolutely, without a doubt, get honesty from me when it comes to how I feel about something, the way I would choose to enact policies, what I want to pursue as president. You will always get that truth from me, and I will never change, and I will never have the pressure put on me that makes me think, no, I'm going to do something different because that's just the way, that's the only way it's going to happen. I will fight tooth and nail every day as president to make sure policies are enacted that benefit this country, that benefit its people, that make us become a better country, better than we were in the past, better than we've ever been. I want to see this country be the country everybody fantasizes it is. I want this country to be a country that anybody else in the world can go, damn, I wish I were American. So if you want that too, maybe you're thinking, oh, I don't agree with his beliefs on gun control. Oh, I don't believe on his beliefs with abortion. Stop being that single issue voter. Look at me for who I am. Look at me for all of the issues. Look at me for what I stand for and what I want to do for this country. Step out of your bubble for a moment and think, what has my party done for me in my lifetime? What has my party done for this country in the past decade? What has it done in the past 50 years? Look at that and think, do you want the same bullshit you've been dealing with, or do you want somebody who wants change? Do you want a person who wishes to pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness for every American? Do you want somebody who is willing to take this country out of whatever era we're stuck in and bring us to the year 2024? Because that's the year when I get elected. Do you want somebody who's willing to bring us to the current date, or somebody who's stuck in the past? You might not like me, but like I said, I will never lie about my political beliefs. Now, don't get me wrong, I lie. Everybody lies. You ask me, does this dress make me look fat? I am absolutely not going to say yes to you. I don't care how it makes you look. I just had to bring the tone back on that one. I promise, and a promise to a lot of people means nothing, but, my word in and of itself should be good enough. Somehow, to some people, saying I promise makes it better. Somehow to a lot of people, that doesn't change anything. But when I say something on these videos, that is my word. That is my code of honor. That is the hill I will die on. Unless something deeply changes in me. I wish to see change. I wish to enact change. I wish to bring change and progress. I wish to see the best for this country. And if you want to see the best for this country, maybe you should look into me as your candidate. Maybe you should consider not voting for the party you voted for your entire life. Maybe you should think outside of the two-party system. If you want change, maybe you should think about voting for Adam Patsy in 2024. Now, thank you all for whatever portion of this you listen to. I'm sorry, as usual, I get a little, antsy and energetic and stuff. But I hope that shows to anybody who's watching that I'm not just faking this. I'm not just putting on some show. I truly want to bring change to this country. I truly want to bring us into the modern era. So, thank you for watching. Have a nice day, night, whatever the case may be. Bye.